We don't want investors to be panicking now or rage selling.
In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them.
We've had a very painful drawdown, and I know we're facing this huge uncertainty that may not end tomorrow, might last months. But like the other declines in stocks, like the one last year or the ones in 2022, the ones who could endure that short-term pain and took advantage of those declines are going to have good opportunities. I think people are making what I would call like linear adjustments to earnings because they're making a tariff assumption, not assuming that there's companies that can find ways to either get efficiency or they're going to get a currency benefit. I think earnings are going to change a lot less than people expect. And the easiest way to see that is the bond market is a very good economist. High yield spreads have not widened dramatically, even this week as stocks took it on the gut.
Today we have Bitcoin bulls Michael Saylor and Tom Lee giving their Bitcoin, crypto, and market prediction for the coming weeks, and what we can expect in 2025. Historically tracking the price in the year following the Bitcoin halving and on the heels of multiple all-time highs, they believe this year will be the beginning of a massive $400 trillion inflow of capital into Bitcoin. The price for Bitcoin currently sits just under $82,400, down over 3% just today. They discuss the extreme volatility we've seen recently, and in the coming months, we'll witness one of the biggest price rises so far since the creation of the dominant cryptocurrency. The story will become even bigger in 2025 because of the Bitcoin ETFs, with thousands of institutional investors across the United States now buying Bitcoin. The demand for the leading digital asset has increased exponentially. This has caused a never-before-seen supply-demand imbalance for Bitcoin, and everything is about to change. Let's get right into the latest interview with Michael Saylor and Tom Lee as they give their prediction for Bitcoin and crypto in 2025. Don't forget, our partners at Jamie Tree Finance have launched a daily 5-minute crypto newsletter with all the latest crypto and Bitcoin news. It's a fantastic analysis of on-chain crypto data and breakdowns, and the best part, it's absolutely free, which will cover expert predictions, breakdowns of on-chain crypto data, and any breaking news that you need to know, all in a nutshell. Sign up down below to join 50,000 others in becoming a better crypto investor right now.
If we're talking about the Fed, we're talking about an interest rate policy, and I think the interest rate policy is going to be a bit looser. And so all assets will be a winner with a less restrictive Fed, and I think the writing is on the wall there. I think with regard to regulatory clarity, the real key point here is the vast majority of the money in the world is sitting in 60-40 bond portfolios or sitting in real estate. So the traditional money, conventional money, is sitting in a 60-40 portfolio or real estate. The scared money, the traditional scared money, is sitting in gold. And so the only thing that Bitcoin needs to win is just to be acknowledged as a legitimate asset class. When money managers like Fidelity or BlackRock point out that this is an institutional grade asset, a digital gold, a digital property, or a digital capital, that's the most important thing that's happened in Wall Street in 40 years. And last week, BlackRock published a white paper where the headline was Bitcoin, a unique diversifier. And they said not only is it a legitimate asset class, well, by the way, the regulators help with that. When the regulators approve spot ETFs and when they approve options trading, they're signaling to all these traditional old money investors that this is not tulip bulbs, this is not a scam, this is legitimate. So they do their part by showing it's legitimate, but BlackRock does their part by pointing out it's a unique diversifier. So Bitcoin represents a new asset. If it's a high performing asset, right, and it's the best performing asset in 15 years, it's up like 48% in the past 48 months versus the S&P looks like a 12 or 13% performer. It's a performing asset. It's a new asset. And now you have $11 trillion money manager that writes a white paper and says it's unique and not done, and it's not correlated. So if it's not correlated, that means the 60-40 portfolio can be replaced with a 55, 35, 10 portfolio. And so do the quick math on what happens when 10% of hundreds of trillions of dollars flows into an asset that only has 450 Bitcoin a day available from natural sellers. That's $25 million a day of natural selling. It's not that much. And so when people reallocate their investment portfolio, then that's very bullish for the asset class. And all this regulatory clarity, regulations mean different things to different assets for sure. But Bitcoin is a very simple principle. It's like just digital capital. So I've said before, it's either going to zero or it's going to 1 million, because if it's tulip bulbs and if it's not legit, if it's a scam, it's just getting regulated out of existence, right? But if it's legitimate, it's basically everybody's holy grail. It's like basically the font of eternal youth for investors. It's the thing everybody wants, a high performing asset not correlated to the rest of their portfolio. You don't even have to have to agree that you understand it. You just have to agree it's legitimate and it's uncorrelated. And at that point, a portfolio manager says, well, just give me some of it.
Embracing an unyielding enthusiasm for the Bitcoin realm, Saylor and Lee confidently predict that explosive growth is looming on the horizon, as BlackRock and many other crypto giants are doing just that. Lee and Saylor reassure that a long-expected surge awaits. By the end of 2025, there will be 1.1 billion active crypto wallets. The pace of growth is hard to comprehend, and it will be the fastest accumulation of wealth we have ever seen. This is the conclusion of a career's worth of research. And every single chart and piece of research leads to the same conclusion. Liquidity drives everything, and crypto will be the best performing asset of them all.
The biggest uncertainty in the industry was November 5th. And would you have a blue wave? Would you have a red wave? Or would you have a split Congress? And would you have any dispute about the future of crypto assets and Bitcoin? I think that was settled by the people very decidedly on November 5th. And I don't really see any threats in the near-term horizon. The United States was built by purchasing Manhattan. Then we purchased the Louisiana Territory. Then we purchased California and acquired Texas, and then we bought Alaska. The next great frontier is cyberspace, and the obvious thing to do is to own cyberspace, buy the future. And so I think it's a great idea. I think it will happen, and I think it's important to the United States because it cements the United States' control over the future world reserve capital network. Senator Lummis's bill will offset $16 trillion of our debt, according to my models right now. So I think it's economically wise, it's technically wise, and again, Bitcoin is manifest destiny for the United States.
It looks like you now, based on my calculations, own about 1% of the Bitcoin supply. You just talked about this $42 billion fundraising plan. This would be a record-breaking plan. How will you carry this out, and why is now the time to go to market with something like this?
Well, all of our investors tell me they want me to buy more Bitcoin. They want me to raise capital to buy Bitcoin. And their number one concern was, are you going to stop issuing equity to buy Bitcoin? And so we were actually addressing their concerns. We did raise $2 billion to buy 27,000 Bitcoin just in the first 10 days of November. So we're moving fairly aggressively on it. I think our exact rate will be a function of the capital markets, but right now they've been very enthusiastic. So our plan is 3 years, but it's possible we'll do it much before then. I think this is incredibly bullish for digital assets. It's very good for the crypto industry. We're going to see a lot more pro-Bitcoin policies. We're going to see a digital assets framework. We're going to see an end to the war on crypto. We're going to see a lot of pro-business policies. And I think that clearly the SEC will be a big part of it. So it's above my pay grade to have an opinion on who it's going to be, but I think it's pretty clear the House, the Senate, the White House, they're all very pro-crypto. So I expect that we'll have a very supportive head of the SEC.
Saylor challenges the conventional macroeconomic metrics, asserting that these metrics are often manipulated to paint a specific narrative, like labor statistics and inflation figures. Saylor and Lee challenge the conventional economic metrics, asserting that these metrics are often manipulated to paint a specific narrative, like labor statistics and inflation figures. The ongoing adoption of Bitcoin by governments, institutions, and media signifies a broader recognition of its value. However, Lee asserts this journey is just the beginning, comparing the initial years to the current widespread interest and investment, with a giant spotlight on Bitcoin ETFs. Lee highlights this being a significant development in the financial ecosystem, selectively measured to create desired effects rather than reflecting the true state of the economy. In this context, Bitcoin emerges as an alternative, detached from the manipulations of the conventional economic sphere. Lee also highlights that established corporations like Apple, Amazon, and Google will use their established relationships acquired over decades to swiftly acquire substantial amounts of Bitcoin through a spot ETF, bypassing the cumbersome processes involved in procuring the actual commodity. This disparity underscores the transformative power of cryptocurrencies in traditional financial institutions. Michael Saylor underscores the importance of embracing digital currencies as the economic landscape is changing rapidly, and urges investors to leverage Bitcoin's potential to secure a more prosperous financial future. What do you think about the latest interview with Tom Lee and Michael Saylor? And how do you think Bitcoin's trajectory in the coming months will impact the crypto market and the world of investing?